sorry, it actually is ending up 20 minutes late. I apologize. Or I think I'm a professional broadcaster, darn it, and then... I hit the start broadcast, and then it was delaying for a second. So then I tried clicking it again, and then right as I clicked it, it hit end broadcast. So I was like, ah. So. We are. It's 5 seconds away from the campaign, so we're. Different link. Hey everybody, Dragon Movie Guy here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry about any kind of technical confusion there. That was all just me and my fat thumbs hitting buttons at the wrong place at the wrong time. And anyone who was on the other stream, I apologize for any confusion, but we should be up and running now, and we should have the chat up and running, hopefully. Fingers crossed, you never quite know, but hopefully this will all go to plan. Ha 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 ha. Welcome. This is my August movie releases episode of the Dragon Movie Guy podcast. This is the good, the bad, and the for all the movies coming out in August 2024. This has been a really interesting summer for movies, and I think we've got a couple of good bangers that are going to be coming out in August 2024. Some really fun stuff to talk about. And, of course, I have a guest, as always, because no one wants to hear just me talk about all these movies. The whole point is to have the conversation, and I want to know what movies you guys are looking forward to watching in August 2024. Let me know in the comment section below this video. And if you're here for the live stream, let me know in the chat. Hopefully it'll be up and running in the chat, and I can kind of call out to everyone in the chat. So if you're in the chat and if you have a reaction to whatever we're saying about these films, or if there's something we're leaving out, let us know in the chat as well. And I will try and pull up your chat and have that two-way conversation that I've been talking about for months and months and months now. I think I have it. We'll see. My guest today is a friend of Dragon Movie Guy podcast and the channel. He is a founding member of the Cinema Squad. He also has his own channel called Fever Dreamland Theater, where he focuses on a lot of classic episodes from the Twilight Zone and shows of that ilk. He does a great job of doing deep dives, meanings, and actor castings and behind-the-scenes stories for your favorite all-time Twilight Zone episodes, and even does background in the series itself, and has done research on read books on the Twilight Zone. So he's he has a really good set of knowledge for the show. That's a weird phrase, set of knowledge. Sorry about that, folks. We're very well versed. There we go. He's very well versed on the Twilight Zone. And if you love the Twilight Zone and all those 50s sci-fi shows, definitely check out his channel. This is Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater. Thank you for coming on Dragon Movie Guy. As we get the technical difficulties, there we go. Hopefully that's it. Yeah. Anthony, thank you for coming on Dragon Movie Guy.
Thank you for having me, man. It's awesome. It's a pleasure. Very, very happy to be here today. Thanks, man.
And I appreciate your patience for working with me. I went through and I had the code.vid thing for a couple of weeks. So this is a couple weeks in the working, trying to get this show up and running. But I love YouTube and I love these conversations. So thank you for waiting through with me. And also I want to start a little bit too with a segment we like to call Boom! Getting to know ya. So I want to know. I want to start off this episode of Getting to Know Ya, Anthony with Fever Dreamland Theater. Anthony, how did you get into movies and TV as a kid? Like, was that like a family thing? Like, or how? Where were your earliest memories of movies and TV that got you that was that bug that got that bite into you?
I would awesome question. I would say I was an 80s baby, meaning I grew up in a time when in our house at least we had a very scrambled kind of little TV there, but we had a couple channels here in New York, here in the Bronx. Our channels were channel 2, 4, 5, was it 7, 9, 11, and 13. So only a couple channels. I grew up in that era, unlike kids from today that have infinite channels and infinite ways to watch anything and everything, anytime you want. Back then it was just, I almost feel like TV and movies and finding your favorite show, it felt even more special because if you missed it, you missed it. You had to look for like a rerun or something like that. But it was definitely a family thing. I would definitely say, looking back, I have fond memories of watching old sitcoms with my mom, my dad, my 2 brothers, stuff like that, family and relatives. So all of that stuff goes back to very, very early 80s and on through there all the way up until nowadays. But yeah, I would say that my earliest stuff as a kid was your Saturday morning cartoons. I grew up on all of that good stuff and like lots of early sitcoms. Twilight Zone, of course. It doesn't take me long to get to Twilight Zone. But Twilight Zone, of course, came on. I would say my earliest memories of those would be Twilight Zone marathons here in New York, would be on Channel 11. I can remember watching those with my mom. Sci-fi, horror, a lot of that stuff. I enjoyed watching that stuff very, very early on. And I feel like a lot of people from my generation got into horror pretty early on. Lots of stuff that would come on TV, I would say pretty early. So it would be like when it came to horror, a lot of the horror I saw early on would be like the TV version. So it would be slightly censored. So I'd see Halloween, but it wouldn't be as bloody as necessarily renting it or something like that.
So New York area, tri-state area, which borough?
I'm in the Bronx.
Still, okay.
Actually, yeah.
Nice. I've never been. I'm trying to educate myself more on New York and LA.
Okay.
So I've never been to New York. Closest I've gotten is Baltimore. So technically East Coast. Made it out there once. But
why not?
I'm a West Coast kid.
I never been to Vegas either. So I'd love to.
Yeah, come on out. Vegas is a lot of fun. We'll come out. We'll hit up a couple casinos.
I believe there's speaking of Twilight Zone, which will inevitably come up lots during this thing. I believe there's a wax exhibit or something. I'm not sure. I have to look into that. Do me a favor, please look around for it, hunt into it if you can, since you live there.
Well, there is a Madame Tussauds. At the Madame Tussauds is at the Venetian, and then I think one that you would really like. There's you've heard of Area 51, right, where they do all the testing on aliens and stuff. Mm-hmm. There is a sort of a Twilight Zone-esque, not exactly but close, called Area 15. Because the interstate that goes through here is the I-15, so that plus Area 51, so it's sort of a very surrealist kind of, people disappear, they reappear, aliens kind of come out at you. It's all in the guise of a supermarket, so it's real. I think you would like Area 15 if you ever stop by. So come out to Vegas and we'll check out Area 15. And then also, so you were catching horror shows on TV. That's kind of what got you into that. And then, what was it that really got you into the Twilight Zone exactly? Because, we all have movie channels, but for you to start up one dedicated to a show that went off the air 50 years ago,
Yes.
that's a very specific desire to talk about the Twilight Zone. So what specifically was it about the Twilight Zone that drew you in?
Good question. I mean, my earliest memories of those are just catching the marathons on TV, and I often think it would be my mom that I would catch those with, and I think I would catch some of the earliest episodes I caught were the one with the living doll and the one with there's a man on a wing of the plane. Those things, just those types of stories, creep me out, but they also just grabbed me and fascinated me, and I found them to be super interesting. Also, going back to the early 80s and mid 80s when those marathons were becoming on TV, they were still old. They were in black and white, but they weren't as old then as they as you mentioned. Now we're even more decades away from the show, so we're lucky. We're lucky to even have a few of those actors still with us at this point. But yeah, man, my love has sort of remained with that show for so many years. But I would guess just some of those creepy, haunting stories just grabbed me. As I got older, I just learned to appreciate some of the deeper themes and meanings, but behind some of Rod Serling's stories. But yeah, I just found that a lot of those stories just grabbed me at a very young age. There was another Star Trek is another one from my early age that also just grabbed me. I didn't necessarily understand everything that was going on, but the fact that they would just spook me out or hit me at like a deep level, it really stuck with me.
And the amount of work that you do into your videos, too, for the research of it all, it's really impressive because you don't just talk about the episode, you talk about the actors that were cast in the episodes, the behind-the-scenes stories that went into it. You've read books on the making of all of these episodes, and it's
a tad obsessive.
Yeah, well, no, but you do it in a very fascinating way because you've done the homework and you know what's interesting, and to share what you do for the love of the show it's a really fascinating watch, and it's absolutely worth watching. I definitely recommend it because I liked the Twilight Zone when I was growing up and watching it, and but I never have done the deep dive research that you have. So when you're like, oh, and this is the guy that was in the other episode, and we talked about that, we did a full video on that. So I'm like, dang, like you got like whole content blocks of the Twilight Zone. So yeah, I love your channel, and for anyone who loves that old school Twilight Zone, the Outer Limits kind of stuff, especially from the 50s, and I know they did revivals in the 90s and 2000s and all that kind of stuff, and those are good too. But there is just something about Rod Serling sitting there smoking in black and white.
Yep, agreed. There was never, and we never hit that level ever again, no matter how many reboots and how many times we revisited. We never quite recaptured that magic.
Yeah, well, and you're never going to get someone like that smoking on TV, which is a good thing. But just
that alone, yeah.
But the black and white, there's just something about the black and white shot on film, that with the best cinematographers in LA, you can't really replicate that exactly as they did it back then. There's just something, and I don't know what it is. I mean, we could always break it down, but just the aesthetic of it is just great.
Yeah.
So what got you into YouTube? Like, we all have our TV shows and movies that we love, but what got you started on YouTube?
So, well, unfortunately, something that's a little familiar to you, I would probably say coronavirus would be the thing that did it. The pandemic. I am one of the very many YouTubers that came around in 2020 because it was like, hey, I suddenly don't have work anymore. So I found myself at home. I found myself job hunting. I found myself on unemployment. And while job hunting and trying to find some freelance work, I figured, let me try a YouTube channel. However, YouTube doesn't just throw money at you right away. That's unfortunately not the case at all. Matter of fact, it might take forever to even see a dime off of any of this. But all the same, I said, you know what? Let me give it a try. My intention always was like, I would like to get this monetized. Even from like day one. But all the same, I was just like, but I also just need something fun, and I need some sort of a creative outlet. I do graphic design, and I've been in art for many years. And I also saw YouTube as a way to just sort of express myself, do something a little different, a little creative. And I sort of had to teach myself video editing. And one of my earliest videos, which I think is still online, almost just for the sake of nostalgia, is a Star Wars edit that I did. When I started the channel, I had one review for Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. It was a Twilight Zone review. That's one of my earliest ones. And then a Star Wars edit that I did. That I did to kind of teach myself editing. And that first Twilight Zone review was another learning thing, because it was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do these. I don't know how I'm going to review these. I didn't have an approach per se. Like, is it going to be video essay style? Is it going to be like lots of facts and trivia? Is it going to just be me in front of a camera talking? Ultimately, I decided not to do that. I decided I'm just going to kind of go with clips and pictures and stay off camera. I was a little, I don't know. I sort of, back then I valued my privacy a whole lot more too. Not that I'm out and about now, you know, like all over the place. My videos are still about the same. I credit the Cinema Squad for sort of dragging me on camera, and a lot of you fun guys who were like, "Hey, you want to come on and do a show or do a podcast or whatever," but it'll be on YouTube. So I credit you guys for sort of literally dragging my face onto YouTube. But thank you, because I found it to be fun, and I found it to have loosened me up a little bit more. My earliest videos, I was still finding my way, but over the last couple of years, I feel like I've gotten a little bit more into a bit of a format. But all the same, I still feel like I'm learning, man. I really do. I still feel like there's room to grow here. There's room for me to get better at this.
Well, and you know, you're not kidding. It is hard to get monetized on YouTube. Roughly 3%. 3% out of the millions and millions and millions, 3% ever get monetized. And
Wow.
I'm over 1,000 subscribers. And I'm still working the watch time, but even me, after 4.5 years, still working on getting monetized. So if you're part of the top 3%, congratulations, you're already monetized. So we're working towards it though. We're not Jeremy Johns yet. We're not Chris Duckman yet, but hopefully someday we'll get there. Finally, what of all of the Twilight Zone episodes, gun to your head, which Twilight Zone episode is your absolute hands down favorite?
I would go with Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. Which again that's the first episode I ever reviewed, and part of the reason I reviewed it was because I was like, you know what, I want to do the whole series right from the beginning. However, I don't know how realistic that is. Life can be rough, and who knows if I can get to 156 episodes of a show. So even from the very beginning, I'm like, I'm going to review I'm starting with my favorite episode. I know that there's other channels that do what I do, but they start with episode 1. Makes sense. I'm like, nah, I'm going to start with season 5. I'm going with my favorite. I'm going to hop around marathon style. So yeah, that would be my favorite, starring the legendary William Shatner. Thankfully, he's still with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And is that the one that when they did the movie that was oh shoot,
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow, yeah. So they read John Lithgow. Yeah, I love that. I love it in the movie.
I like that. Yeah, I like that segment. I like too. Most of that movie, I actually like. I'm a fan of that. I haven't had a chance to touch it yet, actually. So one day, hopefully. Nice.
So coming to Fever Dreamland Theater someday in the future. And I forgot that William Shatner was in that episode. So
yeah, William Shatner. He did 2 episodes of Twilight Zone. Don't worry, I won't drag you down to Trivia Land, but he actually did 2 episodes of Twilight Zone. Well, you see, in 1961, and you're like, okay, let's end this podcast right about here.
Well, he pops up in a lot of stuff from the 50s in black and white, and like even when
Outer Limits, he was in an Outer Limits as well.
Yeah, and then even when he did Boston Legal, like they had a shot of him with the guy from that Trading Places.
Okay.
I think it was Ralph Bellamy, the really old guy. The two the 2 old guys that Don Amici and Ralph Bellamy from.
Yeah.
There was an episode of Boston Legal where it was a young William Shatner, and it was actually him and Ralph Bellamy from back in the 50s, black and white, and it was William Shatner as a young lawyer. So they cut out the names of the characters, but it worked perfectly as like a flashback episode. like 50, 60 years later. So yeah, thankfully William Shatner's still with us. So
yes,
fingers crossed there we have him for many, many more years. But
yep.
yeah, and so what can people expect coming up next on Fever Dreamland Theater and the Cinema Squad?
Okay, well with Cinema Squad, we actually, let me give a quick plug for Cinema Squad. We recently did a thing, a mid-year stream, me and the guys, where we covered some of our favorites from 2024 so far. So some of your viewers who are into a lot of the newer movies that I know you cover very, very well, my compliments. Yeah, feel free to check out Cinema Squad channel. We have a relatively new take where all of us got together and we talked about what we think is the best from movies and TV 2024. That was a lot of fun. It's up right now. And over on my channel, most recently, I did, of course, another Twilight Zone review. Those are always in the works. There'll be more coming. Very recently, I did a top 10 for Night Gallery. And right now, I'm presently working on Tales from the Dark Side, a top 10 for that, which was another sort of horror show from the 80s. That another thing I can sort of remember from my childhood years, creeping me out. The theme song alone, for anybody familiar with Tales from the Dark Side. If you're not familiar with it, at least check out the theme. It's floating around here on YouTube, and it'll chill you to the bone.
Sweet, love it. And final thought of all of these scary, other than Twilight Zone, because that's your specialty, but other than Twilight Zone, what is your next favorite horror TV show?
Oh boy, I might go with Black Mirror.
Ooh,
which is similar actually. To Twilight Zone in its spirit, but I might go with Black Mirror. Good question, because there's a lot out there. I think I'll just go with Black Mirror off the top of my head, and then later on I'll be like, I should have said that. I will go Black Mirror.
That's a show too that I keep meaning to watch. Just all the BBC stuff, and there's so many great theme episodes that come through there, and everyone always talks about it. I just haven't. We all have a queue of things we haven't seen that we want to see, and that's sort of right up at the top there for me, and I just never have gotten around to it. So definitely another check in the column for needing to watch Black Mirror. So Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater, thank you for letting me get to know you.
Thank you.
So as you know, we do the good, the bad, and the meh for all of the movies for August 2024. So, it is what it is. The sound of it. It is. Does this sound good? Does it sound bad? Or do you just, any sort of guttural, kind of thing. That's okay too, because I just don't give a flying, but what about I just don't care. That's the whole point of the good, the bad, and the meh. That's why I started it. So we love it. We don't, but there's things we just don't care about, and I celebrate the apathy, because there's so many things that we do care about. The stuff that just we can celebrate that too. The apathy of it all, but that's part of why we love the movie. So so starting,
I have that for one of these.
Oh yeah, okay. Sure. Oh okay, yeah. So
absolutely,
I can't wait to hear it. So starting off, we're just kind of go the way this works too. I just like to focus on what we expect to be the biggest movies from each weekend. So we're just going to start with the first weekend in August and kind of work our way through the month. 7 movies total. One Netflix film that I think is worth talking about. But other than that, these are the movies that should be the biggest ones at the box office in August 2024. And ironically, one of the ones we were going to talk about just got taken off the list of what was going to come out in theaters. I was going to talk about the Kevin Costner movie, but the first film, he was releasing 2 westerns this summer, and Horizon, an American Saga, and Horizon, an American Saga - Chapter 1 did so poorly at the box office that they pulled Chapter 2 before it even released, because that was supposed to come out second weekend in August. So that one we're not even going to talk about, because that movie bombed. The first Chapter 1 bombed. So the movie we are going to start with, though, is Trap. Trap stars Josh Hartnett, Ariel, Donoghue, and a huge cast, including, it's a big night for M. Night Shyamalan. One of his daughters, Ishana Shyamalan, had a movie come out with her theatrical directorial debut. His other daughter, Saleka Shyamalan, is playing a pop star in this movie, Trap. And, Josh Hartnett is playing a serial killer, a la Dexter, who takes his teenage daughter to go see a Britney Spears type concert. And M. Night Shyamalan's daughter is playing the pop star that they go and see. And then it's a trap. It's a trap. So,
yes.
Yeah. So our
first Star Wars reference of the night. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're a kid of the '80s, just like I am. So I love the Star Wars.
Absolutely.
So you saw the trailer for Trap. Good, bad, or meh in general, and good, bad, or meh on M. Night Shyamalan at this point.
Okay. I would say good, but also slightly confused. I checked out the trailer as like as a blank slate. I shouldn't say complete blank slate, because of course we all know the history of like M. Night's movies tend to have twists, whether you love them or hate them, whether you can predict them or not. Every new movie of his, I feel like the minute you check out at least the trailer, you may already start speculating. I think this is this or that's that, or they're in the past or in the future, whatever. And I definitely went into the trailer already thinking that in the back of my head. So the fact that so much was just flat out given to us in the trailer, because that idea of what his movies are supposed to be, and what I mean by that is that, like you mentioned, it's straight up, it's they're pretty honest, like he's the killer, in the trailer, and they've had interviews. That's the theme of the movie. Where what I'm trying to say is, I almost feel like I'd rather have that aspect of it had been maybe a complete blank slate. And we just go in and we don't really know that, but maybe it's just one of those things that you have to see the movie to just know, like, that's what it is. It's presented with him as the killer, and then he goes into this situation. My guess is there has to be more to it than that. There simply has to be.
It's funny because when I think about like M. Night Shyamalan style films,
mm-hmm.
And the fact that Ishana Shyamalan just had her directorial debut a couple months ago, I almost kind of wonder, just based off the fact that we both have Shyamalan release dates this summer of 2024, I kind of wonder if they developed Trap
mm-hmm.
for Ishana Shyamalan, and they developed, I forget the name of the other one, but her film, I almost wonder if they kind of switched those, because the one that Ishana Shyamalan directed felt like an M. Night Shyamalan film.
Okay.
And this film kind of feels like, a Blumhouse style, like a suspense, and and it's a serial killer, but it doesn't really feel like an M. Night Shyamalan film. So I'm wondering if at some point they just sort of said, well, let's go against type, let's mix it up a little bit, and now we have M. Night Shyamalan doing a serial killer. Are they going to capture him? Are they going to, cat and mouse kind of game type film, really stepping out of his wheelhouse? I don't know. What do you think that they might have done that?
I think that's certainly a possibility. I mean, when it comes to Hollywood, I feel like it's not to go down that rabbit hole, but like just getting people into theaters, everything. I feel like they will try anything now to get people into theaters. At the end of the day, it's a business, and there's so many theaters and struggling. And unless you're just a giant blockbuster superhero movie, you do what you have to do, and you'll shift things and move things and play games and get creative. Very possible is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility. Interesting.
So when you see the trailer for this film, and sort of the cat and mouse thing going on, it's fascinating because you hear a voice, and it's an older woman's voice, kind of directing all the police to try and get Josh Hartnett, get the serial killer, spring the trap. It's funny because I think that's Hayley Mills.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Parent Trap.
I have to listen again now.
Even the first, because she's second billed on IMDb as Dr. Grant. Not sure about these characters, but thoughts on Hayley Mills leading the police attempt. You know, she was good. You know, she was Saved by the Bell. Good Morning, Miss Bliss. She never did catch Zach Morris in the act. So could she catch Josh Hartnett, the serial killer Dexter style, in the act as he takes his daughter to the
Now I'm just waiting for him to pull out a giant phone and look at us and, you know, break that fourth wall, Deadpool style, and go into a Zach Morris kind of
freeze time.
Yeah. Stop. You see all these FBI agents running at me over here? You know, something like that. Well, plot twist. They're not after me. They're after my daughter. So, yeah.
Also interesting to note, too, Allison Pill and Tim Russ, both Star Trek veteran actors in this film. I didn't see either one of them in the trailer, but, you know, Lieutenant Tuvok from Voyager and Allison Pill from some of the more recent Star Trek streaming shows from interesting to see there, too. And Kid Cudi from X showing up in this one. I have no idea what his part is going to be. I did look up on IMDb, but thankfully a lot of the kind of spoilery type stuff isn't there, because I think I'm one that I actually like spoilers. I like knowing that stuff ahead of time. I know most people don't, but you know, with a film like this where it's all twists and turns, I kind of almost am glad that they don't have character names for a lot of these actors. But what are your thoughts, good, bad, or meh, on Kid Cudi in general, like as an actor? I mean, obviously he's a really well-established recording artist, but what do you think?
I feel like I'm not familiar enough to give a fair answer on that one. I'd have to think of something else. You know what I mean? To be honest, yeah. So in the case of that, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the only thing I saw him in was X, so that would be like the only. Gotcha. That would be the only thing that I was judging him by, and I was actually really impressed by him. And the funny thing is, I've heard of his name before, but I'm not like as much as I am into sports and into movies. Like music trivia is kind of just straight over my head. Not too familiar with his music, so but yeah, so that was the other one I was kind of excited to see starring in this film. M. Night Shyamalan in general, are you good, bad, or meh at this point in his career?
Oh, well, geez, at this point. Yeah, all right. So his more recent work, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I mean, just based off Sixth Sense alone and some of his earliest work, I'll almost always be a fan. I totally respect him as a director and his writing. I will always check for his work. I will always check for it. Even if I hear a few bad reviews here and there, or if I check out a movie and it's not exactly what I want it to be, all right, cue up the next one. I'm always going to give him like he's earned it in for me at least, you know, like where I'm always happy to check out the next M. Night movie.
So when you think about films to see in the month of August, where does Trap fall on your list? Or are you planning to go see it, or does it come down to a good, bad, or eh?
No, I don't get out to the theater as much as I'd like to, but I might see this. I mean, I went to go see Old. I saw that. I was able to see that one with my wife, and oddly enough, we've now that I look back over our lives, we've seen quite a few of his movies in the theater, and they've always been pretty much fun experiences, even if they weren't our favorite movies. So yes, to answer your question, I would put it maybe not the highest off this list. We'll get to some of the other stuff that's like my highest, but it's up there. I would definitely give this one a possibility to see in a theater. Because I feel like because we know so much in terms of twists, there almost has to be a lot more to this movie. It can't simply be he's the killer, do they get him or not? So now I'm just wondering, well, what the heck else is there to this movie? I really am. I'm curious about it, and I thought the trailer looked interesting enough.
And the thing that's getting me too is whether or not his daughter finds out.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing too, is a lot of times that they're missing does the bad guy get caught, yes or no, which I'm curious about, but it's that thing of, parents do for their kids what they can't do for anybody else. And, it's that hope of the future type thing. And so I wonder if his daughter finds out for this film. So, I'm not planning to watch this film in theaters, but I do want to catch this on streaming at some point when it comes out. So this for me is it's a soft good, but wait till streaming, and for you it sounds like a wait for streaming.
I would say if I don't see it in the movies, I would lean towards seeing it in the movies for a couple of reasons, because I've had good histories with his movies overall whenever we've gone to see him in theaters, and whatever the twists are or whatever, they're going to be floating around all over online, and so by the time it hits streaming, I'll already know. It turns out XYZ was the killer, or this happens, or that happens. Like I'll just, it's going to come out. Somebody will just be joking about it. It'll be a meme or something. So that's the thing with his movies. They use that sort of, the twists are usually a pretty big deal. And if you wait till streaming, that might happen. But again, I know you mentioned when it comes to spoilers, it's not the biggest deal in the world for you. So if you do happen to hear it or somebody lets it slip, that's not the biggest deal.
Nice.
Fair enough.
And that one comes out August 2nd, the first weekend in August. And we do actually have a couple of people in the chat. Eric Thorpe from Eric Thorpe Reviews. Sup, Brian and Anthony? Have you talked about Deadpool and Wolverine yet? We haven't. I still have not seen it yet this weekend, and really looking forward to it. Have you seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet, Anthony?
No, I haven't. Speaking of spoilers, I have been spoiled on it. However, Eric may want to keep the spoilers out of the discussion just for now, because I know you haven't. Maybe some other people have. I don't know if it's too late or not yet, but no. But I am either way. Now that one I am looking forward to seeing, and I would very much like to get to a theater to see it.
And he also says he also is curious about Trap, also with big eyes.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get that emoji, but that's a good emoji. And then Patrick from Have Cheater Will View, friend of the channel. Yes, isn't Borderlands coming out? Yes, and then that is of course our next film we're talking about. Nice. Speaking of Borderlands is the next movie we're talking about. That one comes out August 8th. It actually was, Patrick and I did a video together. This is actually my number one movie for summer 2024 that I was excited for. So Borderlands, Arianna Greenblatt, Kevin Hart, Cate Blanchett, Jack Black in a voice role as some little robot thing. Jamie Lee Curtis, everybody and their brother is in this film. Yeah. Directed by Eli Roth, of all things, the Thanksgiving director. What are your thoughts on Borderlands?
I want to see this, and I would like to see this in the theater. The trailer looks fun as hell. Now my guess is you described the little robot thingy the same way I would describe it. So I'm assuming maybe neither of us are fans of the game, unless that's a new character. I don't know. So basically, what I'm getting at is I have no familiarity with the source material, so I'm just going into this movie like ready to just enjoy it, and it looks like a good time. The trailer looks fun as hell. However, I will say this: I've noticed in the comment sections for the trailer for Borderlands, I've seen it seems to be divided with fans of the game saying, they got this wrong, they got that wrong, they got this wrong, they got that wrong. So on that front, I'm not too sure, but that tends to happen with a lot of things, whether it's video games being adapted or novels or books being adapted. The fans start killing each other.
Yeah, well, it's always fun too, because I love that fans are passionate, but the whole it wasn't like that in the comic book, or it wasn't like that in the video game, and I get that there are passionate fan bases, and that's why they're making a feature film. I tend to go each one has its own place. Like if you're a fan of a book, if you're a fan of a comic book, if you're a fan of a TV show, all those have their own place, but every medium has its different strengths and weaknesses. And the interactive nature that you can do in a video game, can't really recreate that in a feature film. But you can't, but you also have the wow and the expanse factor that you can do better in a movie that you can't really do in a video game. Even though video games are getting better and better and better and high tech, it still is something that's hard to recreate in video games, even though. And Patrick points out Yes, Haley Bennett. Patrick might be the president of the Haley Bennett fan club, I think. I don't know if he's officially in the position or not, but he is a huge Haley Bennett fan. And yes, she is in Borderlands. I still haven't seen her in the trailers for it, though, so I'm not quite sure what role she's playing or how big a role. But yeah, it looks really good, though. I think, to me, this looks like a good more than a bad or a meh. To me, we're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. To me, when I look at the trailer for this film, for Borderlands, I keep thinking this is, obviously the comparisons to Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy is obvious. But does this film feel like the MCU film that we didn't get this summer? To you?
Good point. Like it's filling that void. Maybe that's the reason why I'm drawn to it, because like I said, I'm not familiar with the game, but I like the cast. I like the look of the movie, the visuals. Kevin Hart also shows up, I believe, right? So yeah, it just looks like a fun time. That said, I could see it going either way. Like I could see it being like, if I saw reviews for it and they I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm hoping for the best with it because it looks like a good, fun summer movie. I would even dare to say I would probably check it out in a theater, but I might wait for reviews on it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and
I don't know if I would go in blind on this one because I don't have that kind of loyalty like with a Marvel thing where I'm like, I'm gonna go check it out. It's Marvel. I'm gonna probably go check it out. This is like there's nothing there, so it's like if I hear some good reviews and I'm looking for a fun time, then yeah, or maybe I could even take the kid. I'm not sure if it's kid friendly. Is it PG-13? Do you know offhand?
I believe so. I didn't see for sure, but I believe it's PG-13. It has that PG-13 feel to it.
Yeah, it certainly does. I agree. Yeah, but yeah. So I might check it out. Even I'll give a shout out to Upside Dan. Like maybe even like a 4DX thing might be good or something like that. Seems like it could potentially be a good experience.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Dan about whether he's going to do a 4DX review, but I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised at all if Dan does a 4DX review because this just the look and the visuals and the cinematography and the CGI in this actually looks worth. Like I make fun of CGI every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But the CGI in this one actually looks good. Like it's going for that elevated look to it, and I think that doing seeing a showing of Borderlands in 4DX, I think makes a lot of sense just because of the motion and everything, and all of the we are in a COVID era, so having this spritz of liquid on your face may or may not be a good psychologically. We're going to the theaters in a theater of 300 people, but that's in my past now. I've got the antibodies built up now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you're good for a couple weeks. That's just you have to make sure if you're going to get out to the theaters, do it now while you're safe. you have a window. So get out to the movies.
Pro immunity, yes, absolutely. Yes. Time to get the 4DX, the blow in the face kind of thing, and someone sneezes. Someone sneezes right when they're blowing, and I'm like, "Ha! I have immunity. Damn it!
I can take it. Yes, you could sneeze right into that steam machine. Go for it.
Yes. So by the way, Eli Roth, are you good, bad, or meh on Eli Roth as a director?
No, I would say good. Again, in that case, maybe I would say good. I haven't quite seen enough, but from what I've seen, I would say I'm a fan. Yeah, he seems fine for this. What are your thoughts on it?
I haven't seen Thanksgiving yet, but I remember watching Grindhouse in theaters. Oh. And when they had
that's the main thing I go to is Grindhouse for him. Yeah.
And they had the Thanksgiving fake trailer in Grindhouse, and that was I think they even said directed by Eli Roth. Yeah. Thanksgiving is one that but because I took the hiatus, I just missed it this past fall. But it was a huge film, and it's getting a sequel. So, I like Eli Roth. I think I like him better as an actor than a director. But I still like his directorial vision and bringing that. Like he was great as an actor in Inglourious Basterds. So, So I'm from what I've seen from the trailer, I'm gonna say that it's a good. Is there anything meh about this film that kind of has you like,
I mean, like I said, I could see it maybe going like south in terms of reviews, but they've got me with the trailer. I'll credit them for that. I'm not picking up on anything bad. The reason why I say that is because there's lots of trailers that are pretty damn awesome, and then I start seeing reviews, or I inevitably check the film out myself, and I'm like, okay, that was bad, unfortunately. So trailers do their. I think. Look, whoever is putting together trailers, my compliments, because most trailers nowadays, they can make anything seem freaking awesome.
Yeah, and
at least to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too positive about this stuff, or optimistic. I don't know.
The only thing that has a meh factor for me a little bit, and it's just a tiny little bit of a meh factor, is the fact that this is a blockbuster in a summer with very little blockbuster competition that's getting an August release. I mean, the fact that The Bike Riders came out in June, and that was supposed to be just a tiny little art house film last fall. So the fact that we got The Bike Riders with a June primetime release, and Borderlands got pushed to August. That
we
part
live in
worries.
Strange times, man.
Yeah, so that part worries me a little bit, but in the trailers we trust to a certain extent. Eli Roth, I trust. I love this cast. To a certain extent, most of this cast is a little bit against type, I think, for action roles. I mean, Kevin Hart's in really good shape, but you don't really see Kevin Hart, jumping off buildings and, fighting Jackie Chan or fighting The Rock kind of thing.
He's showing okay. Yeah, exactly.
Cate Blanchett's done a lot of stuff. She did Thor Ragnarok, but I don't really think of Cate, I think of Cate Blanchett more as, Oscar films and stuff. So. It's very fascinating the mix of actors they got for this film, including Hayley Bennett. Got to remember Patrick, and she always looks good. Hayley Bennett looks good in everything she does.
Settle down.
Yes.
He's still with us.
Yeah. So to me, this looks like a good, and I do plan to watch it in theaters. How about you? Are you planning to watch it in theaters?
I would lean toward yes on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna hope I get out to see this one. Yeah.
Perfect. Eric Thorpe Review says Dan will 100% do a 4DX review. So,
I would say
I would tend to agree for sure. Moving on to film number 3. Film number 3 is a bit of a romantic drama. It's based off a book that sold 1 million copies. Yeah. So anytime you have a best-selling book, feature film adaptation, and this one stars Blake Lively in the lead role in a love triangle, and the interesting thing is the director of the film is also playing the leading man, and the leading man, at least if I did a little bit of spoiler research on Wikipedia. In the book, the character the director plays is a little nefarious. That might be part of the appeal. So, Justin Baldoni is the director and leading man. Deadpool's real-life wife is the leading actress. Thoughts on the trailer as you saw it for It Ends With Us?
It looks like a potentially great movie. I will just say, maybe off the bat, just like my honest thing would be probably not for me per se, but all the same, just like it looks like a potentially good movie. I've also found lately, the last couple of years, there's been movies where, because I'm such a sci-fi guy or an action guy or these types of things, these types of films, they don't necessarily go on my radar, but every now and then I'll check them out and I'm like, okay, that was actually pretty interesting. I don't mind going into some different stuff. I don't always need, slasher movies or some sort of spaceships or something like that, but I usually do. And there's none of that in this film. This film actually there's some serious subject matter in here in all seriousness. So, because it's dealing with abusive relationships. That's an important subject, and so I think it's something that it's worth looking into, and if it opens up any discussions, then that's all the better. I went into some comment sections just to get a feel on what fans of the book are thinking of this, and it seems like they're pretty positive and optimistic. So that's certainly good for fans of the book. series. So good for them. I'm not quite sure again if it's for me, but I totally wouldn't rule out checking it out. Absolutely. Maybe not in the movies.
Yeah, and I'm very similar with this. You know, I think I've been, since I started work on my new job, I've been trying to expand what I like and what I don't like. I mean, well, not expand what I don't like. I've been trying to expand my taste and respect others' opinions on what they like, even if I'm not a huge fan of a genre. Like, for example, I'm not a huge country music fan. I usually make fun of country music to no end, and I think there's a good reason for that, because it's country music. But, you know, but country music is something that a lot of people love. So I'm trying to adjust my attitude to be more inclusive and find out what people love about different films. This type of romantic drama is not one that normally grabs my attention. But given that Blake Lively is involved with it, and, you know, the trailer is compelling enough.
Yeah.
It does seem like it checks a lot of boxes in terms of predictability, so that would be a meh factor for me in general.
Okay.
But Jenny Slate is her friend in this picture. The idea, the premise is that Blake Lively's character is post-college. She has a friend. They open up a flower shop together. Her character's name is Lily, so Lily opens up a flower shop. Ha ha ha. And Jenny Slate's brother is apparently Justin Baldoni, the neurosurgeon with abs, who's a little handsy. So it seems like it's the premise of the trailer. I'm, you know, to me this is a little bit of a meh factor, with the exception of Blake Lively being involved. Interestingly, Justin Baldoni has a history. You know, we talk about romance and drama and melodrama. He had 99 episodes as a regular character on Jane the Virgin on CW. So I think in some ways that's not much of a stretch in terms of subject matter, but how do you go from supporting character on Jane the Virgin to directing Blake Lively?
Oh.
That is a career trick that's not just good, bad, or meh. That's, I'm listening.
Yeah.
How do you go from supporting character to directing Deadpool's wife? That would be an interesting trick to see how they pulled that one off. But to me, this is one that I think, you know, it's a little bit meh factor in terms of the subject matter, but it looks fairly well done just based off the trailer. It's not good enough, I think, for me to say that I'm going to see it in theaters or even probably wait till streaming. To me, this is one that looks like if it comes on TV, if it's on TNT or TBS in 6 months, I'll probably sit down and watch it for 5 minutes. But other than that, to me, it's a skip it. How about you?
About the same, yeah. Streaming would be fine if it pops on streaming. I'll give it a go, especially if the reviews have been or like end up being like pretty positive across the board. Then it ends up being like, oh, okay, so that's something out of my wheelhouse, something I tend not to check out. But it got mostly positive reviews. It popped up on or whatever stream, you name it, whatever streaming service. Yeah, I would maybe give it a go. Why not?
Patrick from Half Cheetah Will Views says the fans are pretty disappointed with the choice of Blake Lively, but Blake is going to rock this. He also says, how about all those ex-SNL Saturday Night Live actors landing plum roles more and more? Absolutely. Jenny Slate loved her on that. And Patrick also says, cover a Hallmark movie with us next month. This definitely does feel like a Hallmark movie with a budget. Yeah. So that does. Yeah. I think he's right on point there. And then Eric Thorpe says, I feel like some will make this a double feature with Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. Okay. The whole Reynolds household in a double feature. Hey, look, if Barbenheimer can beat Sword the loss that did last summer, why not Deadpool and It Ends With Us? So why not?
But wait, how can we merge those names though?
Well, given the subject matter, I'd avoid the Deadpool part of it, but
what's our next movie there?
Exactly. Moving on. Speaking of death, Alien Romulus.
Hey.
This is the completely unrelated horror film, though, right down your alley. Alien Romulus, the 7th film in the Alien series. This one takes place between the original Alien and James Cameron Aliens. Unrelated sequel, standalone. Young, sexy cast involved with this one. Cailee, Spaeny, Isabela, Merced, and David Jonsson. Small cast. There's only 6 people listed on the actual IMDb page for this film. Directed by Fede Alvarez, I think is how you say his name. What are your thoughts on Alien Romulus?
You know, so like my initial thoughts prior to seeing the trailer were just, oh God, we're doing another Alien movie. Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. Because the franchise has certainly had its ups and downs. Not as many ups and downs as the Terminator franchise, which is, boy, I don't know. I am optimistic about this one. I don't know. I want to be optimistic. I don't want to be cynical. I want to be optimistic about this. I will say the trailer's been pretty good. Slightly spoilery in that some of the character deaths are sort of right there, or at least some of the characters that we know are going to just come in very close proximity with the xenomorph. It's just all right there in the trailer. But I mean, it is what it is. Generally speaking, I'm not sure what the story is, so I don't want to fault the movie too much for having overly spoilery trailers. Everything looks pretty good. I was a fan of that Evil Dead movie from a few years back. We'll see. I'm gonna be optimistic about this one. It very much feels like what it is. It's a modern take on Aliens. It looks good. It doesn't look. I don't get that. It looks slick. It's a slick looking Alien movie. I'm not sure how well that will work with the franchise. The old ones, that they were so filled with these wonderful practical effects and the era that they came from, and this one very much feels like a modern take on that. It doesn't feel completely separate from the universe, at least to me, though. It does feel like it's still in that universe. It just feels like a newer, fresher take on it. I'm gonna try to be optimistic on this one. I did like the trailer. It does feel a little repetitive, sure. Like there is that sense of like we've seen this before, but I'm okay with giving this one a shot. And I wanted to ask you some other follow-up questions too, but let me shut up and just let you talk a bit.
I guess that's part of the question though. Is the fact that it looks a bit repetitive a good, bad, or meh thing? Because when you're talking an Alien film, we all kind of know the formula, the plot for an Alien, for Alien. Mm-hmm. So is the fact that it does look a little formulaic, is that kind of a good thing? Because it's giving the Alien fans what they want to a certain extent. Is that a good, bad, or meh for you?
It probably meh. But then again, I feel like they tried giving us something different with Prometheus, and audiences just generally speaking didn't know what to think of that. Some loved it. There were films in that movie, and some were like me, meaning like conflicted, meaning there's stuff I liked a lot, and there's other stuff I came away from just sort of not liking very much. And then there's people that just flat out hate that movie and the follow-up. Was it Alien? Was it Covenant? I'm forgetting the sequel name.
Yeah, that was like Alien Covenant, and that was because that was the one with the guy from Vice Principals. Forgetting the actor's name, Danny McBride.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. The fact that there's an Alien movie, an Alien sequel with Danny McBride, just that statement alone, I find absolutely hilarious because I've seen the film, he's okay in it, but just the idea of Danny McBride in an Alien movie, that visual, that thought experiment alone, just like it makes me chuckle. It's just like of all the people that I couldn't picture in an Alien movie, Danny McBride is at the top of the list of people that I cannot picture in an Alien movie. Like for example, I cannot picture for the life of me Albert Brooks being in an Alien movie.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I could not picture Woody Allen in an Alien movie. There's just certain actors that great actors, love their work, but I just cannot picture
Yeah.
certain actors in an Alien movie, and maybe that's an SNL sketch in and of itself. But,
No, I think so.
Like, a Woody Allen showing up in an Alien film, like, oh, the face hugger, like, I don't know, I can't do Woody Allen, but yeah. So the fact that we had Danny McBride in the last one, to me this looks it'll be interesting to see once I see it.
Yeah.
Whether this is exactly what we think it's going to be. So I do wonder if they're just sort of, they're hitting the broad strokes. Like, well, yes, we have an attractive female with brown hair as the lead character. We get the alpha female and the alpha male lasting till the end of the film, and that's it. And, we get the face hugger, we get the chest burster. I did have the, I find it funny, the moment in the trailer where the girl with the shaved head puts the flashlight behind her to get the backlighting as the chest burster bursts out. Like,
yeah.
like, that's a cool visual.
Yeah.
But if someone was having a chest burster about to burst out, they're like, who would sit there and go, hold on a second, I've got this giant flashlight. I'm going to backlight this so you have a good view of the chest burster as it kills you.
She's all about the visuals.
It's like, hold on, I'm dying, but I want you to have a good view of it.
It's for TikTok. I don't.
Yeah.
Kids today. That aspect of it, like how predictable is this going to be? And if it is predictable, is it at least done well? Can we at least ask for that much? Is it at least entertaining at the end of the day? I'm like, if it's Alien, same thing with Terminator. That's why I always felt bad with these types of movies that just go back to our childhoods, that help make us fall in love with sci-fi horror. Aliens, I'm sure it might be one of yours too. Like at least the first two are for me. I don't know. I find I always root for these movies, even though they tend to disappoint me. Again, not as much as the Terminator movies. The Alien movies at least have a few more sparks of life. I'm hoping that this is a good, fresh restart for the franchise, but I could also see it going the complete opposite way and not just being another meh movie. But I'm trying to be optimistic about this one. I would check this one out in the theater. This would be my number one thing to check out in the theater. But I'd have to hopefully see some positive word of mouth.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leaning the same way. It's funny because for me, the first 6 Alien and Terminator films, they graph very similarly in terms of great early on, the first 2, and then they kind of get worse and get better.
Yeah, Predator
at the same time, which is really weird.
Right? Predator too, I would throw into that mix.
In the general category, but there's a real parallel, I think, in terms of quality comparison between Terminator and Alien. Like, because they both have 6 feature films, they both have 2 classics at the beginning, they both kind of get worse at the same time, they both kind of get better at the same time. So yeah, Predator 2 is one that I enjoy as well. Although I never did see Alien versus Predator, so that part's kind of off on its own for me. But what were the points that you had written down that you wanted to bring up for this film?
For this film, I'm not too sure if I had too many notes on this one. I think that I one thing that made me a little worried was the director, Fede Alvarez, and I apologize if I'm saying that name wrong. So I like that I like his work with Evil Dead, the 2013 one. However, it looks like he also wrote Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022.
Yeah. And I
wasn't a fan. I'll just leave it at that.
He didn't direct it, and
I wrote it, or did he co-write?
I think he co-wrote it. I could be wrong there too. So, I have not seen his version of Evil Dead that came out in 2013. Okay. Don't Blink, I think, is another film from 2016 that he directed. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen any of his work on screen, so I can't really comment about him as a writer director.
Every director has a few things here and there, or writer that's, hit and miss. That's not even, too much of a concern. It's more just a matter of like what we spoke about earlier. I think like with the repetition, if there's repetition in this movie, if it's a lot of what we've seen before, okay. I don't know that, like, is it at least executed well? Is it at least pulled off well? Is it at least entertaining? Yeah. We shall see. And, or if there's, honestly, I would like to see some kind of twist and turn, something that I can't think of now sitting here, but when I'm in the movies, I'd like to get pleasantly surprised by, oh, I didn't see this coming, I didn't see that coming, something like that. That would be fresh to take the series into a different direction.
And Eric Thorpe points out, this looks like the nastiest one yet, possibly. LOL. And then, interestingly, Patrick points out Danny McBride did the recent Halloween film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Danny McBride kind of showing up all over the place. I stopped. Oh God, what's the Danny McBride does that show on like either Showtime or HBO with John Goodman and the dude from Pitch Perfect.
Okay.
I can't remember they're like Southern preachers or like televangelists or something. And
yeah, I think
I can't remember the name of the show.
Same. I can't think of the name.
Righteous Gemstones. That's it.
There you go.
Haven't seen every episode, but 3-4 episodes in, I thought it was pretty good. So, yeah, Danny McBride, surprisingly versatile.
Hey, can you see Danny McBride in Star Wars?
Oh God. Well, if Officer Parkman from Heroes can be in Star Wars and Star Trek, just because he's friends with J.J. Abrams in real life, why not Danny McBride?
There you go.
Yeah, but I could, especially if you have Danny McBride on like Tatooine or like one of those desert worlds, I could totally see him like in a cantina scene.
Okay.
I think. Now, could I see him as a Jedi? No. Could I see him as a Sith? Maybe. Could I see him in some kind of? But yeah, definitely in a cantina scene. Absolutely sure.
Oh yeah.
Are you planning to watch Alien Romulus in theaters? I think you said you're gonna wait to see the trailer or the
no,
reviews?
I think with this one, I think with this one, and I think that's probably a good rule of thumb with most of these like that. Like, yes, I would like to see this in a theater, but I'd like to see some positive buzz for it, if at all possible. Some good positive reviews. Now, if I see mixed reviews, I might still give it a shot, though. Anyway, because mixed reviews, I might still give it a shot.
Yeah, and I think not to steal your thunder, but I'm kind of echoing that sentiment a bit too, because like I think for me, the Aliens franchise is sort of at a weird place where it's almost where the MCU is now, where it's kind of it's lost the trust. So it's going to have to prove it to me with positive word of mouth. Yeah. I think the visuals look stunning. I think, even if this is just a back to basics one where it's people running, young sexy cast running from xenomorphs, face huggers.
Yeah.
If it's done really well, then I think this is one that I definitely won't be there opening weekend. But if it's one that surprises and is a surprise number one at the box office, and everyone's like, oh my God, you got to go watch this film.
Yeah,
that's when I'm probably going to go watch this film.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, probably just wait until streaming for me. Movie number 6. This is I keep wanting to say The Onion, but it's The Union. Not surprisingly, a film that I can't remember the title, even when I'm staring it dead in the eyes, is coming straight to Netflix. This is Mark Wahlberg. This is Halle Berry. This is J.K. Simmons. It looks like a lot of fun, though. This is, again, it's a premise I think that we've all kind of seen before, and I can't really put my finger on which movie it was, but Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg were high school sweethearts. She meets up with him, kidnaps him, and all of a sudden, he's a spy.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the trailer for The Union?
So prior to this, to us talking about this, I didn't know this movie existed, and I'm like, well, let me look into it. I have to talk about it. Let me look into it. Checked out the trailer. I like the trailer. It looks like good fun, and it's on Netflix. I'm always looking for a reason to make use of that old Netflix subscription. It's one of my oldest subscriptions. I'm always happy to check out one of these straight to Netflix things, especially if there's good word of mouth. I had a lot of fun with Hitman most recently on Netflix. I thought that was awesome. I could see this one going either way, but I definitely like the cast. I like the tone. I like the look of it. It looks like good fun. I'm a fan of Halle Berry. J.K. Simmons is always awesome and incredible. I've been a fan of his ever since Oz. So, this looks like potentially a lot of fun, man. I'm not seeing anything really bad from the trailer or anything. And again, it's just Netflix. It's literally just a matter of like, give it a shot on Netflix. I'm fine with that. There isn't even any doubt about this one. Unless, even if I hear that it's atrocious, like what was the most, it was a J-Lo movie that popped up on Netflix, right? Was it that got it got pretty beaten up pretty badly. That one got, like pretty, that one got bashed pretty badly. I went into that one at blank slate and I still couldn't finish it. And then afterward, I found out, oh, okay.
Oh, were you talking about the J-Lo sci-fi film that just came out like a month or two ago? Yeah, that one looked expensive and bad.
So yeah, if I were to see bad reviews for this or whatever, I'd skip it, or even mixed reviews. I'd be like, all right, so then I'll just give it a pass. Because like you said, man, there's so much stuff we have to catch, right? That's on our laundry list of things to watch. So when you see things that like get mixed reviews or poor reviews, it's like, all right, that's gonna go down to the bottom of the list for me. But as of right now, I'm positive on it. Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah, and to me, this is a soft the good for me. It's interesting. You and I are both in our 40s. Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry both in their early 50s. Did you catch the creative math in the trailer where Mark Wahlberg was like, "Holy cow, my girlfriend from 25 years ago in high school"?
Okay.
Yeah, so like basically he de-aged both. He de-aged himself and Halle Berry about 10 years.
Well,
for the sake of the math of the trailer, which I thought was kind of
funny. I love that observation. The both of them look great. I'll give them that. So yeah.
Yeah, they both look great. They're both in great shape.
That we see that with actors in Hollywood, right? Where sometimes they'll get up there in years, but they'll keep playing the dad with the young kids, and it's like I don't know. Traditionally, like a given actor may be more, and you'll see it more with the male actors, maybe more in the grandfather age as opposed to just the dad age. But you'll see that sort of go on for a while in movies.
Well, I think those are I think that can work because I think this male biology. I think you can be an older dad.
True.
But just the creative math of just saying, well, my high school girlfriend, the one from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I was getting a good chuckle from that. I'm like, in relation to nothing else other than just, oh yeah, from high school, 25 years ago.
That would have been the safer bet. And also, so math wise, where would we more realistically put them? What do you think?
Just based 30? Off of age, I'd say 35. 30, but they're both in great. They're both in great shape. Yeah, I don't. That was the thing that was kind of making me chuckle too. Is just like the math has nothing to do with it in terms of the premise for this movie. I just thought it was like a really fascinating, like very conscious decision by the screenwriters or by the actors to try to make themselves look 10 years younger than they actually are. And that has nothing to do with the premise of this film because whether the characters are 35 or 55. I don't think that affects the believability of the premise of this film. Yeah. So that was just a vanity exercise.
Yeah.
I think that just for that to pop up in a trailer, like I just found that really, really funny. I have no idea why. I just like
man, I'm gonna start trying that in casual conversation. Then whenever I'm talking about things from years back, I'm like, when I was in high school, I think 5 years ago, I used to always say. And then I'll just continue the conversation and then just look at people's expressions. They'd be like, wait, what's this guy? This guy is saying he was in high school 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
And then they question like,
that doesn't feel right.
He looks good. He kept himself in shape. But like,
it's okay.
Like just the confused math, like the wheels turning in someone's head as they do the math in their head. Like, wait, why did he just say that just now? Like, is he actually like, or am I misjudging based off of age or is that some sort of component that I should have been considering here, but now that I'm not, and now I'm sitting here and everything's gotten quiet because I'm trying to do the math in my head, like
everything's not just quiet, awkwardly quiet. Yeah. there's different kinds of quiet.
25 years ago, in high school, like that part just killed me during the trailer. I'm like, why is that in the script? Like.
I almost wonder if it's just a remnant of a previous. I don't want to say previous script, but a remnant of like a time where maybe they didn't originally they wanted to cast a little younger or something like that. I have no idea, but they went with these actors and they was just like, just leave the line in. Sometimes stuff like that'll happen.
Well,
I love the observation though, man.
Well, I just, I think, Hollywood tends to be about minus 10 years anyway. Because, if you're going to have 30-year-old actors playing high schoolers in general, and same thing true. Like, you tend to have 40-year-olds playing 30-year-olds. Yeah. And look, to a certain extent, I think that's it kind of is just reflects how long it takes to become movie star.
Yeah.
Like, very few people even if they are child actors, very few people rise to the top to where they're a leading character. So just in terms of even the people that are fortunate enough to become movie stars, it takes so long to get that status in their career that by the time they get there, they theoretically have aged out of the young mom role for, a young mom role that probably should be 25 to 28 goes to a 35-year-old actress kind of thing. Yeah. So, or father kind of role. So, I think to a certain extent we kind of get, and honestly, the actors all kind of maintain themselves so well anyway that they can look 10 years younger without it looking, without it being like someone being all gray all the time, like, I am 23 years old. So I think it's not as big a stretch as I was trying to make it out to be, but just the math, the creative math of it, though, the inspired math is kind of got me.
Inspired, I love that one.
During the trailer. So is The Union one that you plan to watch on Netflix?
Oh, definitely. I'd give this one a go. It seems fun.
Next film on our list, coming down the stretch, The Crow. And believe it or not, this version of The Crow isn't just a remake of the 1994 film. This is, if my notes are right, I believe the 5th or 7th film in the Crow franchise. So there's actually been a lot of different Crow films over the years, but this one looks like it's channeling the original film from 30 years ago. Bill Skarsgård, who's Pennywise in It. He's part of the Skarsgård family.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the trailer for The Crow?
So, while I do like Bill Skarsgård, and I'm a huge fan of that first movie, big meh on this one for me. This is, I know I've been pretty bubbly and positive thus far, but for me, this one would be the meh. A couple of good points, I will say. I think that the trailer makes the movie look like it doesn't pull any punches. I like I feel weird saying this, but I like that the movie looks like it has some balls. There's some violence, there's some blood, there's some hard-hitting stuff going on there. I think all of that looks good. Sort of fits, I guess. I always thought of The Crow as a bit of a deeper thing than just action, blood, guts, gore. I've always thought of it as a little more than that. But overall, this one's just a meh for me. This one would have to prove it. It would have to prove itself. I'd have to hear a lot of positive reviews and buzz to check this one out. It's not like a hard pass, but I'm like, fine. I'm good with my Brandon Lee classic. I'm fine with that. Pretty comfortable. All the same, if this movie ends up being good and introduces a younger generation of fans, then fine, good. All is good. I have nothing against it.
It's such an interesting thing too, because I graduated high school. I graduated 30 years ago. So The Crow.
Don't you mean 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago. 10 years ago when I was in high school in '94.
Wait a minute.
So, I have, and I worked at a movie theater in high school, so I have distinct memories of watching The Crow in theaters, and all of the behind-the-scenes news that came out, pre-internet, about the fact that, I like everyone else my age, was a huge Bruce Lee fan. So the fact that Brandon Lee was going to be making a film, and then Brandon Lee sadly dies on that on-set accident, and the fact that he died in real life in a movie where he's playing a character that dies and comes back from the dead. And then they do the CGI face replacement stuff, which at the time
Yeah.
was cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
So
94, right? We're talking 94.
yeah, so the same year that Forrest Gump comes out.
Yeah.
And they were doing like face replacement on like President Kennedy in that film. The urban legend, I think, for me, was an urban legend before the film even came out. And then the film comes out, and it's, it's all right. It's dark and it's gothic, and oh, okay, yeah, there's that scene where they, in a wide shot, where they replaced digitally the face, okay, yeah, and yeah, they're all it's the gothic thing with the pale faces and the dark around the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, that wasn't like an all-time classic film. I think it was a tragic film, but it's pretty well done visually. Did you like the original film?
Yeah, I am a fan of the original one. Yeah, and years later, when Sting from WCW, I'm gonna do a quick wrestling reference here. When he went with that look, I thought that was pretty darn cool looking. But yeah, I am a fan of the original movie. That doesn't. I don't know that really sways me too much with this one. It's more just like a general feeling of like I have my Crow movie that I love. It's right there, and that's the one I'm gonna have to go back to if I'm gonna move for some Crow action. But yeah, you know what, dude? Like you, I wasn't aware until prior to talking about this that there were so many other Crow movies. I do remember the sequel. I'm trying to see, was it City of Angels?
Yeah, I think so. Like I haven't seen all of them. I know I've seen
same. But I didn't know that. What else was there? I'm trying to think here. There was like another two. There was even a TV series as well. There was a Crow TV series for one season.
They come out every couple years, and you go, "Oh, yeah, they're based off the Crow." Okay, sure.
Yeah.
This one to me, I kind of almost is borderline meh. I think the visuals look good, but Bill Skarsgård for me, it's not a good, bad, or meh. It's just sort of a, why is Pennywise playing the Crow? Like he got in great shape. I'm not hating on him. I love Bill Skarsgård and the lazy eye and all. But I just, when I think Eric Draven, I think Brandon Lee, and good, right, or wrong. I just don't think of Bill Skarsgård. So when I see, it's the same basic premise. It's the girlfriend dies, and then he, is so pissed off he doesn't want to go down to hell, so he sells his soul for the Crow and his superpowers, and Danny Houston kind of showing up as the bad guy, which is always kind of a fun to see. So I think people always forget that John Huston is his, I think, dad or uncle, the all-time classic director. So I love seeing Danny Houston show up in this film. I don't know. There's something kind of. And maybe the fact that this is the film being released in late August is the clue that it's not like an all-time classic. But to me, this is a skip it. This is sort of not really good, bad, or it's borderline meh. But to me, this is one I'm going to skip. How about you?
Same. Skipping on this one. Absolutely, yeah.
Patrick from Have Cheater Will View says, passing on the Crow. We'll pick it up in DVD. Kind of cutting off the last part of the panel a little bit. So moving on from The Crow to the final one in this month. This is called Afraid. And looking at the spelling, there is AFRAID. This is a film about AI. This is a film about you think about like Alexa and all these other digital personal assistants. The movie Her. This is Aya. We got the movie Megan last year that came out from Blumhouse Productions. This is also from Blumhouse, but this is John Cho. This is, very oddly, this is directed by Chris Weitz, who was the director of American Pie and About a Boy. And I have no idea why the director of one of my favorite gross-out comedies and one of the sweetest, single mom drama kind of stories from both that late 90s, early 2000s era is now doing a Blumhouse horror film with Sulu, Kumar, with Harold and Kumar fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm utterly confused and possibly a little bit impressed by this. Also interesting, Catherine Waterston, Sam Waterston's daughter, playing John Cho's wife. I don't know quite what to make of this film. You're the bigger horror film than I am. What did you think, good, bad, or meh, when you saw the trailer for Afraid?
Being a horror fan made me kind of I saw it and I was just like, okay, I have to sort of give that one a shot by default. I really do. It seems like it seems right up my alley. It's touching on like it's taking the modern fears of AI and how things can go very bad, being so with us relying so much on technology. But I mean, we've had years worth going back to Terminator and going back into the 50s and 60s of movies where robots or technology would run amok and enslave or kill the human race. So here we have it again. It's a very tried and true premise. I'm fine with it. A little Jesus Christ, I feel like it's getting stale already, the premise, but it is what it is. I would absolutely check this out, though not the movies. I would wait for this one to hit streaming. I don't mean to jump ahead, but I would. This one, good vibes at least from the trailer. Good vibes at least from the trailer, though a sense of like, I feel like we've seen this before.
And in general, are you a good, bad, or meh on Blumhouse in Blumhouse?
In general, I would probably say good. Good. Yeah, depends what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I like Blumhouse films. I think they generally have a pretty good fresh energy and a fresh take. Mm-hmm. Even on stuff like Invisible Man, that sort of thing.
I liked a lot. Good example.
Yeah, and I liked Megan a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't love Megan, but I did like it. There's a certain energy and a certain fun. Yeah. This film feels like it has a lot of that Megan energy. Yeah. I'm wondering.
I liked Megan more than I thought I would, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think that's where Blumhouse is sort of at its sweet spot, where it's not saying that Blumhouse is great or even good, but it is a pleasant surprise and it's better than we thought it would be. I kind of wonder though if releasing Afraid in sort of the same vein as Megan in August, in summer movie season, when part of the reason why Megan was such a big hit was because it had very little competition in January.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if this is the type of film that should have been waited until January, February. And maybe that would have been like better by, oh, hey, yeah, there's nothing else to watch in early January, so I went to go see Afraid. That was great. Yeah. Blumhouse, yeah.
Good question. I mean, another factor with a lot of these horror films is they just don't cost much. So even if they don't do super well, they end up being profitable anyway. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and you're right. It doesn't take much. Low budget plus decent box office equals relative hit.
Yeah, there'll maybe be a sequel. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't look to see what the box office or I didn't look to see what the budget was on this film.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even if you have a $20 million film and make $60 million in box office, that's a profitable film because you generally have to make 2.5 times the budget in order to make money. So I could totally see this type of film making $60 million worldwide. Yeah. I just wonder.
I will say this too. Also, we talked about Black Mirror. Also, a lot of Black Mirror episodes. I know you're not familiar with the series, but a lot of Black Mirror episodes took the sort of horror anthology Twilight Zone vibe and they meshed it very well with technology. And this trailer at least gives me a little bit of those Black Mirror vibes. So maybe that's another reason why I'm sort of like inclined to check it out.
Interesting too. Patrick from Have Cheated Will View says that the Outer Limits remake had a lot of AI themed episodes, and including Valerie 23, which and again it's kind of cutting off the final part of his message there, but this kind of does feel like one of those Jordan Peele type streaming series episodes. I don't know if it feels like a feature film to me when I see this.
Okay. So yeah, like if this was just an episode, right, of like, oh, did you see the Black Mirror one where there's like the AI in the house and the little red eyeballs and stuff?
Yeah.
Like it feels like one. Oh yeah, it was a good episode. So yeah, but feature film, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So
fingers crossed. I'm a horror guy, so fingers crossed. We'll see on this one.
And this is one too that I think, if it does really well, if it does get that word of mouth, this is one that maybe I could see probably just waiting until streaming. But if this is one that's in the zeitgeist and has like, and obviously we're too early for SNL to be back yet, but if they start doing like SNL sketches on Afraid.
You'll know.
Yeah, this is like they did with Megan. This is definitely one that I could see myself going to see. Like, all right, I got to go see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah.
But as much as I love John Cho, this is one that just with him in the starring role and the premise is not enough to make me go see it.
Okay.
Not really a meh factor, but just borderline meh.
Okay.
Because I do like Blumhouse, but it's not my typical wheelhouse, so definitely something to consider, but particularly gonna go see this one. And I think you said kind of similar. Wait till.
Yeah, I like this would be like a possibility for the movies, but I'd be okay with streaming this one as well.
Yeah, perfect.
I think. Yeah.
That is our final film for August 2023. Anthony, what are your thoughts on the slate of films coming out in August 2023? By the way, I know you had some notes you wanted to bring up. What I kind of was moving. I was trying to move fast, so I forgot to ask you some of these. Did we hit on most of the notes you wanted to touch on?
I think I believe along the way we got to pretty much everything that we inevitably touched on most everything that were in my notes.
Anything
and if not, don't sweat it.
Okay, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wrote down that you wanted to bring up that we didn't touch on?
No, I think we're pretty much covered, man. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Perfect. Thoughts on the slate of films for this film, for this month? Did it surprise you that the films look good, bad, or what are your thoughts on the slate of films for this?
I think it's an interesting variety. I think that there's some stuff here that I want to check out. There's some stuff you have my fingers crossed for. Mainly the Alien film. I'm rooting for that one. I'm always rooting for any kind of horror films. And I think it's a pretty good variety. I'm positive about a lot of this. It'll be a bit of a bummer, right? If we were to revisit this and be like, "Eesh, August of 2024." Oh no, because right now I think between the two of us we're overall pretty positive, and there's nothing that either of us here are like, "Oh God, no, this seems atrocious." Like The Crow seems like the only one that between the two of us were a little bit meh on, and what was one of the other ones was like it ends with us. I think that's more a matter of just like not exactly our thing, but there's nothing necessarily screaming that it's wrong or bad or anything like that. It's more just not our thing. That's all.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're hitting it right on the nose. I think It Ends With Us is kind of not really the type of film that I think either of us tend to go see a whole lot or talk a lot about.
But I'd still, even with that, I'd maybe give it a shot. So, and that says a lot, you know.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Blake Lively, so that if she does start getting if there's a lot of buzz about her performance in that could be one that Tuesday night discount movie night. Why not? If I already saw the big movie that's coming out that week and want to save some money and still watch a movie on Tuesday night, that might be one that is worth checking out. There too. So. And to everyone in the chat, thanks for contributing in the chat. What films are you planning to watch in August 2024? Let me know in the comment section below the video. Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater, thank you for coming on. What videos do you have coming up on your channel? What are you working on? And what can people check out when they check out your channel? Links in the video before.
Oh, well, first, I just want to say thank you again, Dragon Movie Guy, for having me on. It's been a pleasure. It's been an awesome. I hope to come on again one day. It's been freaking awesome, man. Thank you so much, brother. And as far as my channel goes, anybody new checking this out, stop on by Fever Dreamland Theater. Right now, I presently have a top 10 list for Tales from the Dark Side in progress. Feel free to check out my most recent top 10 list, which was for my favorite episodes of Night Gallery. Bear with me; it takes me a little while to go through and watch all of these series, which it's lots of episodes, lots of segments, and I want to just give it a fair shake. So when I do a top 10, it's I'm catching everything, and I'm trying to get everything in that could be possible. So that's why it takes a little longer. Other than that, I have Twilight Zone reviews. There's 156 episodes of Twilight Zone. I've barely scratched the surface. I still have that movie to get to. So lots more to come from the Fifth Dimension.
By the way, what season are you on for the Twilight Zone?
Oh, well, with Twilight Zone, I'm reviewing the episodes marathon style, meaning for me that just means I'm jumping around from season to season, in the same manner that I grew up watching the show on TV, where one episode would be from season 1, the next episode might be from season 3, and they would just generally jump around, or at least that's how it seemed to me when I was growing up. I didn't pay attention to that stuff, but when I look back, that seems to be what the case was. They didn't necessarily run them in the order that the episodes aired. So yeah, I'm just kind of jumping around, which has been fun because it frees me up, man. I'm very flexible to just jump around, and it's an anthology, so you can do that.
Nice. I love. It's funny because you forget because reruns don't really exist very much anymore. I mean, yeah, the streaming, but like when we were kids, reruns were everywhere, so you could see I Love Lucy and Outer Limits and the original Star Trek, and the Twilight Zone was definitely one of those for me, and I just haven't seen them as much in recent years. So whenever I go past your channel and see your in-depth reviews on these episodes, I'm like, God, they're like, even some of them I remember watching, some of them I didn't, but like I was like, I always learned something.
Oh, thank you.
And love the research and love that you clearly have for the series and that you put into the video and make it fascinating even if you haven't seen the episode you're talking about. So
thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the show. It's for anybody watching, and also DMG. It's I believe it's streaming. At least most of the seasons are streaming for free on, I think, Pluto TV. If anybody's interested to revisit the show, I believe a lot of them are streaming for free on there. Most of the episodes. I don't know if it's all 5 seasons, but at least 4 of the seasons are streaming free on there.
There you go, Pluto TV. I
believe Pluto TV. I wish I could say I was sponsored. I'm not, so I'm just putting it out there.
Putting
if
it
you
out.
Want to check out the old classic show, it's well worth checking out. Even beyond me on my channel, it's an awesome show. I love it. I highly recommend it.
Sponsorship deals can come from anywhere.
Hey, I'll take it.
So anybody from Pluto TV, influencer marketing. All I'm saying, Fever Dreamland Theater. Great integration possibility there. So yes. So Fever Dreamland Theater, Anthony, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody else from the chat, thank you so much for chiming in on the chat. I finally have the chat up and running, so I don't have the I tried getting the social stream ninja chat thing with the pop-ups, and that part didn't work, but I do have the chat working finally. So chat interaction, check. Work in progress, check. Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater, thank you for joining me. And everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. See you, everybody.